Hey friends, how's it going? I want to talk about therapy tonight a little bit, but I'm gonna wait a minute maybe and see if people want to find the live feed so they can listen in or watch, etc. So anyway, I'm happy today. I don't know, I have a bounce in my step, and I'm enjoying that. I think I dreamt last night about something, a good feeling that I wasn't noticing, and so I think I must be noticing it. Anyway, hey Shoshana, nice to see you, and hope you're doing well. I know that you often join and connect with things, and hey Shari. So tonight I want to talk about therapy. I've been a therapist for some 20 years now, hey Victoria, and I want to talk about activism, and I want to talk about those both together. Hey Fanny, nice to see you. Um, some folks think that I'm a therapist or know that, some don't, and some see me more as an activist because I write and teach more in an activist mode. Hey Jenny, and I've been thinking about how those go together and how to let people know those go together. And the idea of psychological activism has been on my mind, but I've been wanting to tell stories about that and make that connection. Hey Svava and Carolyn. So I want to tell two therapy stories where I'm a therapist to someone and something that I learned. I'm going to shorten those stories up. They won't be as long as the hour it actually takes. Hey Connie, to do a session, but I want to make those points. So the first story I want to tell, hey Fanny, is about a person. I wrote about this on my professional page. It's about a person who came to me saying, I want to be making more healthy choices in my life. And I keep trying to do that, and I'm not doing that. I'm not sticking with it. I'm not following the advice that people have given me that I have for myself. How can I do that? And what I heard from that person, when someone says something like that to me, hey Paige, is that there's two things in them. One person that wants to make healthy choices, one part of them, that makes sense. And usually people come with an agenda like that. Hey Tiger, help me make healthy choices. And then therapists and coaches say, okay, let me help you do that. And what they ignore, too many people ignore, hey Mary Linda, too many people ignore is how come they're not doing that? And then some psychologists and some healers and folks think they have reasons. Oh, the person doesn't love themselves enough, or they don't care about themselves, or they have low self-esteem. They come up with a reason that's not deeply understanding of that person. Why is a person not doing what they think and others think? They all agree what they should be doing. I should stop smoking. Help me stop smoking. Okay, smoking is bad. We all know that. Let's help you. But what we don't know in that condition, and with this client who said, I want to make more healthy choices, what we don't know is how come they're not. And when I say how come they're not, we have to understand that deeply, not pathologize them. Pathologize them means look at them like, well, you're not doing what you should be doing because you're screwed up. We have to think there's a kind of an intelligence in a person's system. At least I think that way. I think it's more sustainable. So here's a person who says, I want to make healthy choices. And we chatted a little bit, and I said, have you had a dream, a nighttime dream recently? I'm a dream analyst. Some of you know that. That's a passion of mine. And the person said, yes, I had a dream. I had a dream that a woman, this was a woman, that a woman fell in love with me. Hey, Jeffrey. And I said, that's fascinating. Let's talk about that woman. She said, well, she was like this. She's a little more radical than me. I said, great. I said, if you were like that woman in the dream, and you fell in love with yourself, if you were like that woman, falling in love with you, what would you fall in love with? What would attract you? Not you to yourself, as an outsider looking at you. What do you think someone would be attracted to? That's an important question, and the dream suggests it. The dream suggests somebody else is falling in love with her. She's not, quote unquote, falling in love with herself, but she is. But something else is. What is that person attracted to? And she said, if I were that person, I would be attracted to my free-spiritedness. My free-spiritedness. Now listen to this really carefully and see if you can see what I was seeing. I took a little longer than you might have to take right now. There's one part of it that says I should be responsible, make healthy choices. I'm exaggerating a little bit. Do the right thing. Be a good, healthy person. And then there's another part of the person that's free-spirited. Can you see why those two might not always agree? A free-spirited person might say, I want to do whatever I want. I want to fly by the seat of my pants. I want to be spontaneous. And another person says, I want to make healthy choices. We have to do that in the right way. There's a plan. Why shouldn't I do it? So now, if you think about that, and that really was what was going on, you have two parts of a person. One part says healthy choices, that's the green, and the other part says free-spiritedness. The free-spiritedness, hey Catherine, is getting in the way. Now, in order to help her, we need to understand and support that free-spiritedness, because the free-spiritedness is winning. Healthy choices says, I'm going to do the right thing. But free-spiritedness comes from behind and says, I'm going to decide whether you really do that or not. Now, my job as a therapist, in the way I think of therapy, is to become a friend of this free-spiritedness, not to become an enemy. If I say, let's make healthy choices, we'll overcome that. And that way, I'm against free-spiritedness. I'm against a part of her. I'm against her psychology. In that way, I'm colluding with this against a very powerful part of her that I don't know more about. Maybe she needs that. Maybe she needs more free-spiritedness. And indeed she did. So we had to go towards her healthy choices by first learning about free-spiritedness, helping her love her free-spiritedness. The dream says she's falling in love with that. Helping her appreciate that. Helping her like that part of herself. Because relative to the healthy choices, she doesn't like it. She thinks that's like an enemy to her responsible, healthy choices. I need to help her get to like that and see how she might be a more free-spirited person, not just around her exercises and diets and etc., but in other ways in her life. How can she live and be more free-spirited? Once she feels her psyche, her soul, her being feels, David's on the side of my free-spiritedness. Hey, now they don't think I'm against that aspect of her. Now we can say, let's support your free-spiritedness. Let's see how that can negotiate with the healthy choices. I need to know both sides of her. Otherwise, she looks like she sabotages. It doesn't work. I say, yes, more healthy choices, and it doesn't work, and she doesn't like herself more. That's not going to work. So that's the first example I wanted to give. Okay, I want to make some general points, but I want to tell one more story in a similar vein. Here's a person who comes to me and says, I don't exercise enough. Hey, Vilma, I would like to exercise. I keep trying to exercise, and then I don't end up doing it. I do it for a little while, and then I stop. A very common pattern with habit building and creating new habits. I try something and I stop. Just like with the healthy choices person, I have to say, one person says, hey, Jenny, I want to exercise. Hey, Kathy, but someone else doesn't go along with that agenda. I better find out about the one who doesn't go along with that agenda. I better befriend that part also. Yes to the part who wants to exercise, and yes to the one who's not doing it. Otherwise, I again become antagonistic towards the part that's not doing it, and I become complicit in a bias system. This is a really dangerous thing. I want to say most coaching and therapy that I've looked at, now you will have other opinions and you may be right, but most that I've looked at automatically, hey Wanda, collude in that first part. I'll help you exercise more. I'll help you stay on track. I'll push you to do that. Great if it works. Hey Georgiana, but if it doesn't work, I better get to know who that other person is. They're not just a dumb, unhealthy human being. They have an agenda. So I said to this person, tell me about your life. And they said, I'm busy, I have all these responsibilities, I do a lot of things, I'm summarizing, I do a lot of things I don't really want to do every day. I have a list of things, I make a huge list for myself, and I'm like, ugh, sometimes I can't stand doing this. I can't stand my list-like life. Hey, Georgiana, listening in, and I don't want this list-like life. If I were free, I'd say, F it. no, I don't want to do one more thing on that list. Can you hear that? I don't want to do one more thing on that list. Now imagine now that that person says, I want to try to exercise. What's going to happen? That person's going to put exercise on their list. And guess what? The person who doesn't want one more thing on their list is going to not want to do things. Now, if they feel very responsible for the non-exercise activities, they're going to make themselves do that. But then it comes to exercise, and guess what? Their psychology, their psyche, says, I'm going to say no to the list. We're finally down to something that's only for me. I'm not responsible to anybody else. I'm not going to do it. They get to not do the exercise. This is a really important thing. I'm suggesting that the part of them that doesn't exercise needs to be known, hey Mark, and supported enough so that that person can learn about themselves. So I have to, before I help that person become more of an exerciser, more disciplined about exercise, I have to say, let's talk about your NO, your no to the list. Can you start intervening on that list, saying no to some other things in that list, being more of a rebel, taking days off? Can you say no to things that you think you have to do, that you're making yourself do? Why? Because you're doing that with exercise. You're saying no to that thing. I believe that you need to say no. I believe in that so much that I want to help you do that better. And then maybe we can talk about the exercise thing, and that part of you that wants to say no is a little bit freer. It's been getting to say no. It's exercising your no to things, and maybe we can stick in the exercise. I have to get to know both parts. Okay, that's a really fundamentally deep thing about therapy that I think most coaching, again, in my opinion, and lots of therapy misses because they go along with the client. I'll help you do that without getting to know the other part, or they assume the other part is a saboteur or something not good, something bad, as opposed to something that really needs help and support. Phew! I always get going so fast. That New Yorker with passion and energy, spends a lot of years teaching at university, talking to big groups of people, so my voice wants to boom out, and then I have a passion about this message. I want to go, hey, damn it, you coaches and psychologists, start thinking about people more deeply. Anyway, you're hearing that energy in my, in the way I'm talking. At least I'm hearing that. Let me say a couple of words about why therapy, in the way I'm describing it, is a form of activism. First, activism has everything to do with democracy. True democracy. That means all voices need to be heard. Democracy comes from the root demo, people, and krasi, power, ability, people power, all of the people, all of the aspects of a person. Vilma says, yes, inner compassionate dialogue. Perfect. That's exactly right, Vilma. And we have to get to know both parts to have that dialogue. Most people are so against one side that they need somebody like me or another person to befriend it enough. Democracy, all voices need to be heard. To be an activist means you have to hear the main voices, the mainstream voices, and you have to hear the marginalized voices, the woman's voice, the black voice, the gay voice, the Muslim voice. Inside of ourselves, we have to hear the part of us that we're against. We are like a government, and we say, no, I don't like that part of myself. I'll push that into the margins so I can get rid of it. That's what cultures and societies do to marginalized groups. We do that to ourselves. So to be an activist inside, as a therapeutic or healing approach, we have to get to know both sides so we can actually support both sides and get to know them. Second, I'm talking about not just helping a person fix themselves, get better, do the thing they want to do. That's great. I'm all for a person exercising more or eating better or speaking up or whatever the task is that they have to do. But I'm not for just only that. I'm for a revolution inside that person, a change in the inner power structure, the change in their own inner democracy. That's not just helping the person fix themselves or cure themselves. That's a revolution. It's a shift, a total change in that person's consciousness. In the first example, a person who's supporting free-spiritedness. In the second example, a person who's revolutionary, radical, says, no more lists, I want a different life. So in this way, therapy is an activism, an inner activism. What fascinates me about doing this kind of work, which is originally called process-oriented psychology, lately called process work, because I'm following a person's process. I'm following what's going on inside of them. I don't have a theory about what exercise is like or whether a person doesn't do it for a reason. I have to process, follow that person's own inner life, learn enough about it to help them. And what process work has in it that's amazing is it says inside the problem is the answer. Not in David, not in his theory, not in a notion about why people don't exercise. Inside the person, inside their very problem, inside the thing that they hate the most, that sabotages what they want, inside there is an answer. One last thing about activism. Deep down, inner activism is about self-love. You know, Martin Luther King said, justice is what love looks like in public. In private, love looks like loving you, loving myself. In public, it looks like justice. In private, inside an individual, it looks like a deep love of oneself. It's an inner justice. The system is being balanced, and loving oneself means being kind to oneself and caring about oneself. But, as Lisa, my partner, said in a blog post not too long ago, it means finding support and energy and intelligence in the thing we least like about ourselves. Embracing that, Kathy says, the answer is in our shadow. That's right. It's not just in the shadow, it's in there. And then the love for the quality in there. What's in there that's so important that we have to support? Hey, Mikio. Anyway, that's my beginning to talking about activism and psychology. I'll be talking more about psychological activism in the world, in relationships, and inside as a therapist. In that way, I would say as a therapist, I want to say to people, instead of calling myself a therapist, I want to say I'm an inner activist. I'm an activist. I want to help make a revolution inside of you. I want to help you make your change, but I want to help change the way you see yourself and the paradigm that rules inside of you. I want to have an election and vote in some new powers who see you differently, and by that, help you. Thank you very much, friends. Really appreciate that. Catherine says, inner revolution. Damn yes. Yeah, I want some of that. Give me some of that. Far out, friends. Enjoy. Share the video if you like it. And I'll talk to you some other moment. Bye-bye.